How's it going, everybody? Thank you for checking my channel and welcome to today's video. Today's gonna be a fun one because we're gonna take a build guide that I actually already covered on this channel and we're going to do a budgeted version of it because As Ladder is already multiple weeks into the season and a lot of people I know started with a sorceress to be able to grind for gear, to be able to make other characters. This is gonna be a very budgeted version of the Fire Druid. And this is gonna be one that's gonna have really good clear speed for players 1, but also be able to have quite a good amount of magic find. And the items that you would use are typically gonna be things that most people wouldn't even consider, or they're gonna be quite budgeted when it comes to doing a normal playthrough of normal to hell difficulty with maybe about 10 to 20 hours of farming needed to be able to get everything that you would need for this build guide. Before I go ahead and actually jump into the video, I want to state that when it comes to future build guides just like this one, I will try to focus on having videos to be able to separate out two different versions of a build, one that's going to be endgame and then one that's going to be a budgeted one, as I got a comment mentioning that they felt my previous build guide video with metal grid being fixed was misleading as many wouldn't be able to make the build with so many items players potentially couldn't get either in single player and or during a single ladder season. And I completely understand that they would want a more budgeted version of a build like that because it was quite niche and it was more focused on endgame type of items. But for the future, again, I will try to do two different versions of a build being endgame and budget, so that way if you are not able to collect everything within a full ladder season, even if you were maybe to spend about 10 to 20 hours of farming, you will be able to hopefully make that type of character to see how much fun it really is. And please do remember that this is just simply how I gear the character, because there are different ways that you can actually have the build play out depending on your playstyle. But with that said, I do want to say thank you to all of you whom have been sending me suggestions for alternative items to use, different ways to play the build, and giving me insight into your builds. It's all greatly appreciated and it's really fun to see what your preferred builds are. With all that said, let's get into the video. For the attributes, it's a max vitality setup, much like many other builds are in endgame to help with survivability. I have enough points into strength to be able to equip the gear, and the rest are put into vitality. Resistances aren't the biggest issue as he will not be getting hit often enough for them to be a concern. However, other resistances, because of where this build will be centered around farming, having lightning and poison being the highest is the most important. But even if they were at mid-level, this build still plays well and has good survivability. For the skill trees, there's nothing invested into the shape-shifting skill tree, and in the summoning skill tree, I put 1 point into Oak Sage to increase our health. And lastly, with the elemental skill tree, we are only using the skills on the far left. I maxed Armageddon, Volcano, Molten Boulder, and Firestorm, and the remaining points into Fissure, as the less than 2 seconds for Armageddon being active is made up for the extra point being put into Firestorm to increase the overall damage. When looking at the damages dealt with Armageddon, Volcano, and Molten Boulder, there's 2 damages displayed because these skills deal both fire and physical damage. For the gear, starting from the top, we have a Shaco socketed with the perfect topaz. The amulet is a 35% magic find amulet. The body armor is smoke for all res. The weapon is Hell Plague for the +2 to fire skills, and if you end up using this as a melee weapon, it has dual 5% leech to be able to help recover your life and mana. I'm using a Rhyme Shield for the mana regeneration, some all res boost, cannot be frozen, gold find, and magic find. The gloves are Death's Gloves for the help with poison res. However, you can usually buy decent gloves with resistances, or get a decent pair of rare gloves to drop in a casual playthrough. The first ring has FCR and fire res. The belt is a gold wrap for magic find and gold find. The second ring has FCR and all res. The boots are Nat's boots for 40% faster run walk, cold resistance, and lightning resistance. However, having rare boots with dual res or even better would suffice. And on switch is the teleport staff in case you'd want to get around without having to run everywhere. In the inventory is a torch, Annie, cube, both tomes. The small charms are all 7% magic find small charms, and the grand charm is a Geeds, and the remainder of the inventory is all full rejuvenation potions. This character is more centered around farming an area like the Stony Tombs, and FCR isn't an important focus on this build because when it comes to the skills, there no longer is a delay between using the skills, as you can cast Volcano and immediately cast Fissure, then Molten Boulder, but there's still a casting delay if you want to use the same skill over and over. Each one of the skills has their own different delay. With only 20% FCR, the only thing really being affected is if you use the teleport charges. For the Mercenary, he is budgeted as well, with a Tal's Mask for the life leech and resistances, Treachery for the body armor for the Fade proc and IAS boost, and Insight for the meditation aura. Now that we've gone ahead and discussed the attributes, the skill tree, the gear for the character, and the Mercenary, let's take him to the Stony Tombs to see how well he holds up. And again, I would limit this character to playing on players 1 at the moment, but because he has quite a bit of magic find and hopefully will be able to help you farm for better gear as you're able to build him up into not a budgeted but more towards an endgame character, you could then bump him up to a higher player settings or be able to party up online when it comes to farming. Let's go ahead and check it out. When casting Volcano and Fissure, ideally you need to cast them away from one another because there would be an overlap for the damages between the skills, because of the delay with the frames that the damage could hit a target at, making all the effort of all the potential damage not be fully effective. With how budget this build really is, the damage being dealt is more than enough to run the Stony Tombs very easily without having the need to question survivability. Molten Boulder is great to use as it can knock back enemies, and if knocked back several times, deal a lot of damage before the boulder explodes, truly utilizing the maximum damage of the skill.
I can't carry it.
Everything in our path is just melting as we work our way around the levels. Overall, for how budget this build really is, it does great for magic finding to hopefully continue to upgrade the gear in time to make this build even more viable and increase the damage further to potentially open up the opportunity to run it through other areas of the game without much issue. And if you end up coming across a Flame Ripped Thunder Charm to be able to deal with fire immunes, you will be set to farm all over the game. And that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're able to see how well this budgeted Fire Druid is able to do when it comes to clear speed on players 1, and is also able to stack a lot of magic finds so that way you can hopefully get a lot better gear to be able to make them even more powerful in the future. If you like this kind of content, want to see more, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification to be notified whenever a new video comes out.
Come on. Come on. Come on, then. There you are. There you are.
And if you like this video, please let me know by leaving a like. It really is appreciated to be able to help my channel to grow. Other than that, hope you're all staying safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.